All right, I think we are all set up and ready to go today. So, welcome everyone. Brian Averitt with Photo Day Zombies. I've been seeing a lot of comments coming across Facebook, whether it's in the um, PixNub site or if it's on Volume Team Builders, photographers, different pages. People are asking, what's an easy way that you can change the look and feel of your templates without a lot of work. So, how I do it is typically with actions. A lot of people are confused about actions, so I figured on today's office hours, I'm just gonna kind of go over how I do actions. I edit for other photographers. They come to me with their jobs. They give me their templates, and I give them back the finished products. One of the common things they ask for is, "Hey, can you match the template to the jersey colors?" And they might have a 50 to 100 team league, and they're all wearing different colors. And you like for it to match because it's just gonna it's just gonna look that much better. So the fastest way of doing it, instead of creating 50 to 100 different templates that match those teams, what we can do is we can create actions that'll do it all for us. I don't have a set structure for this training. I've never actually given this training before. So I'm just going to kind of go over the pieces that I do know, a few different ways of handling some color changes, and then how you can use a single action to work across multiple templates. Um, Hopefully everybody's doing good today. So we got 7 people kind of tuning in right now. So let's just go ahead and take a look at what we got. So this is the Modern Classic template from Third Creative. As anybody's watched me before, Don Ward is phenomenal. I'm a huge supporter of his because he makes amazing templates. They're really easy to use, in my opinion, and all the parents love them and all the schools love them. So I am going to be representing him today. I thought about wearing his hat, but I got mine, so I'm going to wear mine. But this is the Modern Classic template. And the reason that I'm choosing this one today is because I already have a nice suite of actions for it. So just at the click of a button, I can completely change the look of the template itself. All right, so I can do red and black on white, just like that. Click of a button, completely different look and feel. This is going to better match this, say, colored team. And then let's say I want to do like a gold on purple. If I've got a gold and purple team, it's a simple click of a button if you do it manually, or each of these actions can be called using the post action options within PixNub using Sports Photo Automation. Um, and if you do everything correctly, you can actually run the same action across an entire suite of templates. Okay, so all of these are Modern Classic. And what I did is I kind of went through and I made sure that everything matched up across all the templates. And there's going to be a reason that they have to match up, which we're about to go over. So, to get started, I'm just going to create a simple 8 by 10 and we're going to play in this. So, uh, let's create something in here. Just get a simple text layer. We'll call these the Rangers. Actually, you know what? We are going to do the Tigers because my son is on the Tigers team. And we're going to support him today. All right, so we're going to make this a little bigger. And then we're going to kind of talk about a few different ways to change the color of this one layer. Because the big thing that you're going to do is change the color of your text. It's probably one of the most common changes you'll make. I want to make this smaller. There we go. Let's do that. Make this bigger so we can see what we're doing. So most common thing that people might do is they'll double click on this. And is this thing stretched up? It is. There. They'll double click on this. They'll come up here and they'll say, okay, I want to change this to red. Cool. Does that work? Yes. However, not recommended for an action, and I'm going to show you why. But that is one of the easiest ways that you can change the color of your text. Another is you simply come over here to your properties window and you can change the text there, right? Very simple, but again, manual clicks to do that. Another option is to create, not that, where is my square? Square, okay. So I can create this big old square on top. I'm going to make this like a nice little, let's go with pink. And what I can do is I can create this clipping mask. So now all of a sudden, my text is pink. The layer on top, the color is being clipped down to our text. So my text is still red. You can see right here in the properties, my text is still red. I'll get to that, Kylie. Kylie's asking, when you're running an action on a template, how do you know what layer to put it on and not have the action run over the entire thing? Do you choose the layer under the color layer? Do you choose the layer under the color change layer or the top color change layer? I know how to do it manually with the layer. It comes with a template, but can't seem to figure out run actions. Okay, we're going to build on everything. So let's just take it a step at a time. And hopefully by the end, if you still have the same question, if I haven't answered it, then we'll go over this specific question. Right now, I'm just going to cover the different ways of changing the color of a text. So right now, you can see our text is red, but our rectangle is purple. So if I change this to something else, let's say blue, I change this box, right, my rectangle, then it is going to change the color of my text. So another thing you can do, let's say we got another one instead of the tigers, which, hey, we're picking up people, so we're never gonna have a layer that's probably just called tigers. So we're gonna rename this to team. All right, and let's call this one right here. We'll just do name. All right, and then I'm gonna bring this down. I'm gonna say Averett because that's me. All right, we'll drop this down again. There we go. Now I want to drop this one down too. Perfect. So we have tigers, we have Averett. So you now what I've done in the past, and when you're dealing with actions are very specific about what you're doing. So let's see, how do I want to do this? I've shown you 3 different ways that you can change your text. So let's start an action. We'll do a new. So here's, if you don't see your actions window, right? Your actions panel is going to be up here. If you don't see it, click on Windows and you can click on Actions. And that's going to pop it up right here. As you can see, I have a lot of actions. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new set. For today, we're going to call it Demo. And then from here, I'm going to start a new action. And I'm going to say this one's called Text Green. All right. As soon as I click Text Green, okay, you'll see right here, there's a red recording function or a red recording button. Right now, it is waiting, it is listening, and it is going to record any changes that we make. So let's say that I'm just going to change the text to green. All right. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to change the text to green. Now remember, this is the first way I showed you, and it's the one that is not recommended for actions. So I'm going to change this to green. I'm actually going to hide that. Hold on. Get rid of that. We're going to start over. because I want to get rid of this. We'll do that in the next little demo. All right, so I have two new texts. I'm going to start over, right? I just created my action. It is waiting for changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the team name, double click. I'm going to change this to green. Let's do it dark. Yeah, there we go. That's a good color. Boom. I'm going to click on my name. Now notice every time I make a change, right? Select layer team name, set content text layer. So it's going to set everything to as it sees here. And then I'm going to click on the name. Now I'm going to change it to the same color. Now once I'm done, I can just stop. Okay. So now let's say I'm changing these to red. And the reason I'm changing them to red is because I want to show you that action, if I click on text screen, I hit play, it'll go ahead and change everything to green. So this shows you a bad way of it working. And the reason I tell you it's a bad way for it to work. Somewhere down in here, where is it? Get team name. Okay. I'm going to show you why right here. So let's say we did green for the Tigers. We don't really want the Tigers. So now we're going to do another action. Let's say we're running sports photo automation and the team name was changed to Cubs. All right. The name was changed to Joseph. And at the very end of that, we're calling a post action. We're going to call green. So now if I run text green, it just changed all my text back. And the reason for that, and this is why I say it's a bad way of doing it if you're running actions, you don't change your text that way. Because you're going to select this layer. If you can actually, I don't know if you'll really be able to zoom in or if you'll be able to see it, but right here it says text Tigers. When I double clicked it like this, it's going to take everything that changes. It's going to take the text change. It's going to take your sizing changes. It's going to take your color changes. If you added like warps and stuff up here, it's going to collect all of that data and it stores it in this current text layer. Okay, so you do not want to do that here. So that is the way you do not want to do it. So when you're doing your recordings, do not double click on the team name. Change it to whatever it is or change your colors. Or actually don't even change your color like this. All right. You want to do everything from this properties window. So we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to do it from the properties window. This time we'll change it to red. So team name, we're going to set properties to red. This is another way that you don't want to do it, and I'm going to show you in just a second. Changing the color is fine, but there's one step I didn't do at the very beginning, which is likely going to cause it to break later on. So now if I change both of these to red, right? All right, I'm done with that. So now let's say we're running sports photo automation. This is changing to the Cubs, and the name was changed to Joseph again. Okay, and then let's say on a previous action it was changed to this. So now at the very end of my automation, if I call red, it works. It left it as the Cubs and it left it as Joseph because I didn't go into here and change anything. So it's not recording the name, it's not recording the warp, it's not recording the size and all that. All that it's doing now is you're setting the color. That's all it's doing. It's setting the color. So you're setting the style of this layer to this color. Now, where did it go wrong? I said that something is going to go wrong, right? So let's say I run it now. Now it says right here, the command set is not currently available. But why not? Like we just saw it work. Well, the reason it's not working is because I am not sitting on the layer of what I want to edit. Notice I'm still sitting on this rectangle layer. So what it's trying to do is it's trying to change the color property of this rectangle. It's not going to work because this rectangle does not have that same color property. So it's saying it's failing to set the property because it doesn't exist. So notice right here in here, I got red, and then it says select layer name. But up here, the very first thing it does, it's going to start on whatever layer you have it set on. So what you really want to do is anytime I start an automation, I click on a layer that I know I'm not going to change. And the reason for that is now we're going to change the name of this to blue because it's already red. I want to move everything to blue. I'm going to stay, I know I'm not going to edit the background layer. I'm just not. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to do when I'm recording, so right now it's waiting, I'm going to click on the layer. What that does, it's going to automatically select the layer. So now that I have the layer selected, I can go through and change it to blue. It's set the style to blue. I can click on the name layer, select layer name. All right. Change my properties here to blue. And then I can stop my recording. So now my blue action is saved. So that's a few things that you got to watch out for to start off. You don't change color layers by double clicking on the text and then coming up to the top and changing the color there. You do that, then whenever you run your post action, whatever the text was when you made that action is going to be what it's running as. So you want to make sure you don't do it that way, or else when you run your full automation, like I have the Cubs here, my entire 100 league run, my 100 team league is all going to have Cubs for the team name. All right. And that's not the case. That's not what I want. So you got to make sure you change things over here in your properties window. That's going to ensure that you don't run into that issue. The next thing to really pay attention to is the naming. Okay. It's rare that I will ever have a layer named this right here because we always use the renaming piece or the resizing. So it'll be team name -r. So let's say I went through, I created, we'll say a red. I'm going to do this into red. Okay. And just because I'm going to re-record it, so I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on team name. So the first thing that happens is it's selecting the layer. I'm going to go to red. And change this one to the same color. I'm going to stop that. Okay, cool. Now imagine I just created 50 different actions for all the different colors for my 100 team league. But they have a really long name in one of the teams. So I was like, crap, okay. So in order to handle that, I need to come into here and I'm going to do TAC-RM or TAC-R. Either one will shrink it down to match what my template is. But now watch. As soon as I click play, it's like, hey, it's erroring out on us. It's saying the command select is not available. If I hit stop, it's going to stop right here. It's going to show you where it's erroring out. The layer team name no longer exists because I renamed it to team name -RM. So this, I've just broken all of my actions. So red's not going to work either because that layer no longer exists. So ensure that your template is completely done before you start recording your actions. All right. You have everything set up how you wanted. You have all of your layers named however you want. Because as soon as you have to rename one of those layers, it's going to break. So how do we get around it? There's one more option, which is the one that I tend to use the most now. While we showed you 3 different ways to change your text. The first was double clicking, come on up here and change the text. We don't ever want to do that. Okay. The second was to come over here in the properties window and change the text. Okay, that works. The third was to create a color box. We'll do a pink one. And then clip it down to the one below it. Okay. Well, there's another one that you can do. You can create a folder. Actually, there's two different ones you can do. Let's go over that one first. You can do the color overlay in your properties window. So we're going to look at the team name right here. That's what we're focusing on. I can double click on this and I can come in here to color overlay, right? And I can set my color overlay to whatever color I want. Now, that's fine and dandy to do it that way. However, you run into the same issue if you ever change the name of your layer. So the way I get around that, and I'm going to change this back to team name just for the sake of this little demo piece, right? I'm going to get rid of these effects. So I'm just going to turn those off. And the way I get around having to ever worry about changing this text is I put it in a folder. I'm going to throw that team name in a group folder. And I'm going to call this folder team name FLDR do not change. Or actually, it should probably be do not rename. I forget what I do. Do not rename. And the reason I do that is because that's going to tell me, hey, I should never change the name of this. Why? Because it's probably used in an action somewhere. But now, since this text is within this folder, I can change the properties of this folder for whatever I want. So let's change it to this ugly orange. So for the sake of this demo, I'm going to create a new action and let's call it purple. And so now it's recording. I'm going to double click on my folder, go to my color overlay, and I'm going to change this to purple. And then I'm going to stop. So by doing it in a folder, I run through my action. I'm like, oh man, this team's got a really long name. I'm going to change it to RM so I can ensure I get that renaming from Pixnode. But now, when I look at my action, even though I did what I wasn't supposed to do, right? First thing you're supposed to do is click on what you want to change. It's going to select the layer of my folder. So even though I changed this, it doesn't care. So I'm going to change this off just so it's something different. So now when I run purple, it selects the name of the folder, or selects the folder with that name. It doesn't matter what's in it. Cool thing here is if I have my name in there as well, so now they're both going to take over that folder, the properties of that folder. Okay. So now I can change my name here to name-rm. And as long as this doesn't change, I can run my purple action and it's going to change everything to purple. Are there any questions so far on some simple ways of changing the text coloring? This right here is typically how I do it. All right. Only each folder or each text will get its own folder. So this will be name FLDR rename. Okay. I will put this name in here. Is this a little more cumbersome? Is it more to set up initially? Yes. However, once you do it this way, you're able to get this type of modification across all of your templates, right? Because if I open up purple, you can see down here, select layer, league name folder, do not change. Select name, school name folder, do not change. All of my text layers are in here. Okay. So it's going to be able to find them all, and it's going to be able to change them accordingly. I don't have to worry about them being named differently across my templates because I got to keep that consistency. Keeping that consistency allows me to obtain that level of ability with my actions. So the actions are very specific. The layer names have to match. If they don't match, then it's going to bomb. When Damon made the change of how to handle text resizing, he pretty broke all of my actions, but that's not his problem. That was my problem. So I had to come up with a different way of doing it. And so that's why I throw all of my text into folders and I change the folder properties. And as long as I change the folder properties there, I never have to worry about actions. Anytime he says, okay, well, let's say we're going to add, instead of -R and -RM, he does a third one, right? And that third one is like the new go-to. I can change that text layer because it's not going to break any of my actions because my actions aren't looking for the text layer anymore. It's looking for that folder. So we have those two. The other way that I kind of mentioned doing it is how I do it. That's probably, this is going to be what I show you going forward. But I know that some others will actually use smart objects. So where is it? Convert to frame, convert to smart object right here, right? You can convert this to a smart object. I didn't want to do that just yet. 1 second. Let's do that. We're going to make it really big. And now I'm going to convert to a smart object. Now, what's kind of nice about doing it this way is it's a single change that you can apply to everything. It's similar to using a folder, only instead you're clipping it down to your text layers. Okay, so we'll call this primary color, right? And so I'm going to actually hide it because I don't need to see this one at all. Let's go ahead and move our text layers out. Again, I'm just showing you another way of doing it. So we showed you that you can use just like the square and you can clip it down and that's going to change the text. That's fine. The way we did it before though, let's say you have 12 items of text on there and you did it that way. In your action, you'd have to go and click on each one and change the color. Like that'd be kind of annoying, especially if you have to do 20 different actions for 20 different colors. That'd get really annoying really quick. So what we can do is we can actually convert this into a smart object, right? And then I can duplicate it, come up here, and then I can create my clipping mask. And I can turn it on. And then I can come down here, I can duplicate it again. I'm hoping I'm remembering this right. I haven't done this in forever, so create my clipping mask. So now if I change the main color of this primary to this, we'll go red. All right. And I save it and come back, it changed all of the smart objects. These are copies of this main smart object. However, since I copied it and I didn't quite duplicate it, it still retains the link to the main primary. This is my pretty much what I call the parent, right? And all these are the kids of it. So now if I do my action on here, and I'll still do purple, that's fine. If I record, again, you want to make sure that you click on, you're not sitting on the layer when you click record. If First thing I want to do is I want to click on primary color. So the very first action says select layer primary color. Okay. I'm going to open this. I'm going to change this to, what do we say? Purple. Okay. And then I'm going to close it and save it. Oh, I didn't. I had it hidden. So now it's still recording, right? It's still waiting, but I can stop. So I've got purple. I've got my primary color. I edited the contents. I set the foreground color of my smart object to purple. And then I closed it. So that's another way of doing it. Cool thing about doing it that way is, again, you can have 10 or 15 layers. Your whole action is literally just changing your primary color, and then that's it. Now you can also do a secondary color. I know there are some people out there that have some actions, and that's how they do it on their templates. That's perfectly fine. It works for them. What you have to ensure is that you set up all of your templates the correct way so that the action continues to work. Okay. And again, let's say you didn't want to do primary color. Even if I just change the name of it, like I took the space out of it and I hit play, now it's going to break. Naming is critical in your actions. Okay. As soon as you create actions, hope you don't have to change the name of any layer that is in any of your actions. So how would I call this from Pixnub? Well, in my sports photo automation under post action 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, I would type in demo, DEMO, which is the name of my set. This right here, the folder is called the set. And then I would do the vertical bar, or called a pipe. It is the vertical bar on the backslash key above the enter key. So I do a pipe and then the name of my action, which is purple. So demo pipe purple all together. That's how I would call it from sports photo automation. So let's go through how I would set up. I kind of like that one, but I want to do a 4 or 5. I don't want to start on that one. I'm actually going to go through setting up for a template that I have not ever set one up for. So let's do that. Again, this is going to be one of Don Ward's lovely little creations. This is the one team template whenever it loads. And here we go. So first thing I need to do is recognize everything that I need to change. Okay, let's take a look at this template. First thing I want to do is hide the girl because I don't really care to see her for this piece. I want to break it down. So right here we have our year. All right, so I know if I'm doing year, I'm going to go ahead and name it to Year Tech RM, just because that's what's recognized for sports photo automation, right? This right here, that's going to be my team name. So I'm going to do team name -RM. This right here is my sport, which these are what we have available to me. So I've got team name here. There's no sport in here, right? So I'm just going to do it as spa text 1. So I'll go right here under sport name, call this spa text 1-RM. This is the player name. Since it is a first name and last name, I know that it's going to be the actual name is what I'm going to do there. And then the junior is a subtext. We'll do this as spa text 2-RM. Okay. So I know from a text perspective, my template is going to be ready to go. I mean, to double check and go in here and convert spa to text point. It is finding all of my layers. Perfect. And then let's look at this piece. So volleyball. This is a multi-sport template. So I can change it to soccer. I can change it to basketball. I can change it to a different basketball. We have just the circle. We have, what is this? A ring. Baseball. So we got a bunch of different options here. So let's start there. Okay, I want to make this, I'm going to create a suite of actions because you can see like even here how I did it here, right? Let's get rid of our player and I can go here. Actually, looking at it on this, I have football. I can change it to football. I can change it to golf just by having this action suite on here. So I want to do the same thing for this one. So let's think through how we're going to do this. And my way might take a little bit longer. However, to me, it is safer. So the first thing I'm doing is I need a one team set. All right. So I'm going to do one team demo because I'm pretty sure I already have a one team set up here. So I'm going to do a new set. I'm going to call it one team demo. And then I want to create a new action. And I'm going to call it, we'll say baseball. All right. So first thing I want to do is I want to click on baseball. And I'm going to show it. Perfect. So now, if I run this baseball action and I hit play, hey, it works. Perfect. So I go through and let's imagine I'm going through, I'm creating all my actions. And then in the end, I have, this is how I save it right here. Okay. Except I have my girl turned on. So now I think I'm ready to run. If I run baseball now, it does change it. However, it does not look right. Why not? Because while yes, it turned baseball on, basketball is still also on. Okay, so I got to turn that off because they're kind of canceling each other out. Okay. So what is the way around that? Well, the way I do it, again, takes longer, yes. However, it's safer. I don't have to ever worry about if a layer is turned on or off. Okay. So now I'm going to we'll start at the bottom, which is martial arts. I'm going to type in martial arts. And then first thing I want to do is I'm going to turn everything off except martial arts. So I'm going to do this one, turn it off, click on the next one. And I'm actually going to turn them all off. Okay, so right now I've turned everything off. And then I'm going to turn martial arts back on. Oh, I'm clicking on the action side. So I got martial arts turned off. So now I can have all these turned on, right? It doesn't matter what's left on. If I hit play now, it's going to ensure that every one of these are turned off and the martial arts is turned on. And what am I going to do after that? Well, cool thing about doing it this way is I can duplicate this martial arts. So I can drag this, or I can right click on it. No, I can't. I can go up here. I thought that was an easier way to do it. Yeah, duplicate right there. You can duplicate it. Or I just drag it down to this little plus button and it's going to create a new one. So now let's create one for baseball. If you make a mistake in here, you can actually go through and highlight whatever you don't want and delete it. Well, we've hidden everything. So now this last option, all it did was turn on martial arts. Well, I don't want to see that anymore. Is there a way to move your video of yourself on the screen? Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Sure. Give me just a second. There we go. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, okay, so right now, thank you for pointing that out. I should have saw that earlier. So I've got everything hidden. And the last thing, when I run martial arts, I'm hiding everything, but the only thing I'm doing at the very end is just turning on martial arts. So I'm going to just delete that. Okay. So we have select layer. Delete that one. So I'm going to go to the very end. I'm going to hit record again. What it's going to do is it's going to start listening, and it's going to start right from where I left off. So now I want to select baseball. Where is baseball? Right here. Boom. And then I want to turn it on. So now if I run martial arts, it's going to hide everything. And at the very end, it's going to turn martial arts on. If I do baseball, it should hide everything and turn baseball on. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. And then I'm going to do it again. And then this time we'll do volleyball. And I'm just going to continue to do this and go down the list. So the baseball got turned on. I don't want that anymore. So I'm going to trash that. I'm going to hit record. I'm going to click on volleyball. And I'm going to turn it on. Okay. So now I can run baseball. It's going to show baseball. I can run volleyball. It's going to show my volleyball. Now, the reason that I like doing it this way is because if I'm doing all of my edits and I come back and when I save it off, it's on basketball, but I'm going to be running a volleyball league, it doesn't matter what is being shown here when it loads because the volleyball action is going to ensure it hides everything and then just turns on the volleyball. Even though I moved it. There it goes. It's just going to turn on the volleyball. That's why I like doing it that way. It's safer. Okay. I don't have to worry about my actions later on if I leave soccer on because I did a soccer league. I don't have to worry about having that being left on and my actions not working. Because if I'm not hiding this and I leave this soccer ball on and then I run softball action, it's going to look like that when it saves off because I'm not hiding this soccer. So it's an extra check that I'm preventing myself. It's a headache that I'm preventing myself. Does that make sense to everyone as far as how to handle, I guess, the sport portion? Because I don't like to combine colors and sports into the single action because then you're either creating more work for yourself or you're limiting yourself. Because if I have a purple volleyball action, then it'll change everything to purple and it'll change everything to volleyball. In order to do another one, I would have to create another action for, say, purple baseball and then purple hockey. Whereas if I had two different actions, just one purple and then whatever sport, I'm just running those two actions. I don't have to create every combination of action possible for the different sports that can be run on this template. So I separate my colors from my sports. All right. And if you look right here for Modern Classic, I have it right here. I've got sports. There's all my sports. And then I have my colors. I got my primary colors, and then I've got my background colors. In your presets that I have here, you can see it just says, hey, play black, and then play background blue. So it's going to put black on blue. Now, I can't run these actions on this template because remember, everything is on the naming. It's looking for layers named a specific way. So it's going to be really, really, really difficult for you to make a single set of actions that's going to work across all of your templates for everything. Especially if you're buying templates from third-party developers, such as, Don Ward from Third Creative, or like Josh Hanna or PSM Graphics. Like, they all have their own naming. They all have, every template's different. So you just got to come up with your own little solution of how to handle it. Okay, so I'm not going to go through and do this for every sport, but you can see now we've gone over how to do it for the sport. So now I know once it's done, I'll be able to display whatever sport I want. So let's start with our color actions. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and again, I'm going to create folders. All right. So I'm going to create a folder right here, and it's going to be called year FLDR. Do not change. Copy that. And then what I like to do, for me personally, is I like to change the color of something really bright, because that's going to help me find this faster later on. I'm going to come here, create another folder. This is going to be theme name folder, do not change. I'm going to drop him in there, change my color. Then I got my spot text one. Change that color to something bright. Drop my spot text in there. I have this guy down here. Okay, that is a name RM. So name folder. I'm going to drop my, I don't want that. That's an optional layer anyway. Put my team name in there. Let's change it to a bright color. Then I have my spot text 2. Now I'm sure some of you are like, this is a lot of work. Yes, it is a lot of work, but if you do it correctly, you do it one time. This is the prime example that I use. I can pull this over into any job that I run, and all of my actions for colors are set up already. Okay. I don't have to go do this all again. I'm doing it one time, and if I do it correctly, I will only have to do it the one time. I might have to do another little action if they want to like do logos or stuff like that. And I choose not to do the logo option in Pixnub, which I would use the logo option, but that's another option that you could do. All right, so I got my spot text 1 here. This was spot text 2, which I've already got in here. I need to change the color of this to fuchsia. And so now look, if I look through my layers over here, I can see everything that I have as fuchsia. I know I have to change that in my action. I don't have to go sit here and hunt and look and misclick. I know exactly where I need to go. Okay, so I don't need this, don't need that. I have these two, I have those 3. And so I'm going to go ahead and let's run through a test. So we're going to do a color overlay, and let's do it to red. I'm going to copy my hex code so I can make sure everything matches. Let's say I want this one to also be red. It's going to be color overlay. Yep. Come down here. Say this one will be red. Color overlay. Same thing here. Same thing here. Okay, so all of my text works now, right? So now I know, and all I'm doing is I'm still in a discovery phase, all right? I haven't started recording my actions yet because I want to make sure that I find everything I need to change first before I go recording my actions. Because if I start recording all my actions and I'm like, man, I really should have changed this color right here. Let's see, what is that changing? That's the background fog. That's not what I want. Is this one? That changes that. Shape layers. See, I'm trying to find What's this one? Okay, so that's my lower. So right here, that's my color overlay. That's what I want to change. So I'm going to highlight this to fuchsia because I know, hey, that's something I got to change. So now I can come in here. That's starting to look better. Okay, so now I got all my red working. So now I'm like, okay, I'm to a point where I can start recording my color actions. So let's just say we'll go back to gold. Why not? We'll go back to gold. Now you never want to start. So I created my gold action. It's right here. It is recording. It's listening, right? Remember, you never want to start on a layer that you don't intend to work with. So I'm selected on this layer, and while yes, I do want to edit this layer, I'm just going to go back up to the top. I'm going to click on this one. So make sure the very first thing it does is it selects a layer. It's not going to try to apply a color action to some other layer that's either hidden or I don't want to edit. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to click on a layer that I intend to change that is not already selected. So now I'm going to double click on my color action. Let's go find a gold. We'll do that one right there, right? A little more of a dull gold. Okay. Click on this, change that. I'm just going to go down the list. Got my color overlay here. This color overlay here. This one here. And I'll come down to this one here. And then I'm going to stop it. So now I know that my gold is going to work. Let's make a copy of it. We're going to do red. Cool thing about it, doing it this way also, is I don't have to delete all these and go back. If you do it this way, you can just double click on each action. And notice when I clicked on this, it selected that layer. It's not running through the whole action because I'm not hitting play. If I hit play, it'll run every step. What it's doing, it's running these steps individually. So it's only doing this one step. It's not setting anything. But if I'm on this layer, and then I click on this, it's going to pop up with your option. Whatever you change in here right now, it's going to record. So now if I run this gold, and I run this, and then I run that, notice it's saving it as red. So now I'm going to do this one. Same thing. Save it to red. I'm on the third one. Save this to red. Fourth one. Save it to red. Color overlay. Save that to red. All right. So now I have gold, which I can run. I have red, which I can run. Let's say I want red martial arts. I can run post action 1 of martial arts, post action 2 of red. And then let's say I'm running baseball, right? I can do baseball in gold or baseball in red. And that's going to be how you're able to, you're going to get the most variety with the least amount of work doing it this way. So now we're going to go through that. We can do it for whatever colors we want. We can do it for whatever sports we want. But that's that's the gist of how you're going to create your actions. Your actions are very specific. Okay. The things to look out for is that you don't double click on the text while recording an action because it's going to record the text. I know one of the users was having that issue in the PicSnub. She had said it's changing the team name whenever it's running the sports photo automation, so that's work. But as soon as the action runs, it's renaming the team back to what it was. And the reason for that is whenever she recorded her action, then I'll go over that, Jen. Um, Whenever she recorded her action, she double clicked on it, and that's why it recorded that the team name should be this. So when she ran the action, no matter what the team was, it rechanged the text to read, say Tigers, like I showed you earlier. So one more, another thing that I want to cover is how can you get this to run the same for all of these, right? I'm running one action for all of these. Now, if you notice we'll just use these two because they're side by side. This has a name. This has spa text 3, spa text 1, team name, spa text 2, and year. All of those layers aren't in here. So how is the action still working, right? Because if the layers don't exist, your actions are going to bomb. So what I did and what I do is I make sure that the layers exist. I just throw them down here in a folder. Oh, where's the folder? Right here. Pixnub additional layers. And I set the opacity to 0. So all the layers exist, right? The actions aren't going to call something that doesn't exist. Because if it doesn't exist, which I'm not showing a sport on here, so I'll never call the sport. The sports don't exist, but the colors do. So I can call Navy, and notice it's changing the properties of all of these folders, but they're hidden. It doesn't matter. The reason I do it this way is so now I can run the same color action on every template, and it's going to work. Okay, so over here, this is just a 4x5. If I actually open up the 2x3 vertical, what I would do is I would go through, make sure that it matches this template right here. Any folder that my action is calling, I want to ensure it exists in whatever template I'm going to call it from. So it's like, just because, let me pull up the memory mate. So when I pull up this memory mate, there's going to be a lot of information on there that's probably not going to be on the memory mate, right? You might not want to show junior, or you might not want to show Lady Raider volleyball, because all of that, it's going to show senior here. But like, you wouldn't show Lady Raider volleyball on your memory mate because it's in your team image. However, I'm going to be calling that team name from my action. So what do? I create a hidden folder. I just set the opacity to 0. And then I put it in there. It'll call it, it'll update it, and everything. It's just not displayed. But that means I don't have to create an entire separate action suite for my memory mate template. Like, I don't want a suite of actions for my individual images and then another suite of actions for my memory mate. I don't want that. If I don't have to, I want one set of actions that I can call across all of the images or all of the templates for this suite. So one team has all of these. All of these templates, when I finish with them, will have pretty much all of these folders. Any folder that could change the text for color actions, I will ensure that exists on every one. Again, it's a one-time setup. If you do it correctly, there's going to be very minimal work that you have to do for changing colors later on. Because I can come here and be like, oh, this is a purple and gold team. Okay, so I just go to my actions, go to my presets, and I can do gold on purple. Boom. And now I'm ready to go forward. So what is the the CSV look like if we were to call this? And we're going to use this one right here, all right? Our one team. We're going to say that for our one team, we want to call martial arts gold. All right, so we want to call martial arts and gold. Cool. So, let me pull up. I already have Excel open. I got a settings file. Where is it? Here it is. All right. So when you're doing this, let's say we got spa, first name, last name, team name, and then we're going to do post action 1, post action 2, post action 3. Okay. Make this a little shorter. I'll zoom in just so you can see it better. We'll just say this is image 001.png, Brian Avery, Tigers, and then post action. Okay, so when we're looking at this, remember it's going to be your set name, and I try not to type anything in. I double click on it, I copy, I paste. I'm going to do my pipe, okay, and then I'm going to do martial arts. And that's going to be how you call your first action. And then my second action, remember we wanted to say we're going to run martial arts. I'm going to add my pipe. And then we're going to do gold. And that's how you would run it right there. And then you can do the same thing. This will be image 002, Brian Avery Tigers. If I had a third action, I could put it here. So let's say you wanted these to be a secondary color. That whenever you're setting it up, you just would not edit this in your primary colors. You would add it into a secondary color. And you would call that as a third post action. Now, sometimes post action, you only get up to 5 post actions. So let's say for some reason you're doing like a bunch of different post actions and you don't have enough for 5. Well, you can actually you can create an action to call actions. So let's say we change this to, we'll say red. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on martial arts, play, click on red. Oh, why did it stop? Oh, that's why. I'm on the wrong. Hold on. I haven't set up this template. I don't think. Yeah, I didn't set this template up. That's why it's bombing. So let's try this again. So I'm going to record, and I'm going to do martial arts, play, red, play, stop. So now let's say you got baseball and gold. You can actually just call red martial arts. So that's a way you can actually, you create an action to call different actions. And that's what I'm doing over here in this one, right? In my Modern Classic, I've got these presets. So I'm actually saying, hey, play black, the action black. So it's going to come up here for black. It's going to play this one. And then it's going to call BG orange. It's going to come down here and it's going to call BG orange. So I can just call that. And that's what it looks like. So that's another way of doing it. So now if I wanted to call just this one action here in my text or my CSV, right? I would just change this to that. And that means I wouldn't need that one. And that'll give me the red text with the martial arts symbol. So when you create folders for each item, do you then just open and move the text wherever it is down under each folder? You don't move the text down to where the folders are. You move the folders where the text is. But yes, essentially, I think you understand what we're saying. So I also recently, let's just say I'm going to use this one right here. Okay. I'm going to open recent spa action folders. You notice right here, I created just an empty template, and it has a folder for every possible text color change option in Pixnip. Okay. So I went down the list right here, and I made sure I had a folder for each one. So what I can do is I'll come over here to this one. I'll go to the very bottom, right? And I'm going to drag this whole folder in there. Ooh. Oh, I can't. Is it not going to let me do it? I thought I could. I was in the process of doing this earlier. Ah, it did. There they are. Spa action folders. So now, if I come here, this is subject name, right? We don't use subject name. This is going to be name-rm. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that because it's optional and I don't really want it. And then I'm going to highlight this to my fuchsia. And then I know that's my name, so I'm going to drag this name folder up here. And I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to highlight this to fuchsia. So now I'm going to sit there. I'm going to move these to wherever they need to go. This right here was subtext. I think we called this spa text 1. Okay. But yes, you want to make sure that you have all of these set up similarly. Drop that in there. But by having this here, obviously I just did it really quick. It may not work. But it did work. See? It changed this because this is named the same. It changed all of my text. But that's all I had to do was bring in my colors and it worked. Or bring in my folders. So let's see if martial arts works too. Hey, it does. Because one reason I do love working with Don Ward's templates is he is very consistent throughout all of his templates. So that means when I'm creating these actions, it will work across the board. That's one reason I do love working with his templates. So all I did essentially to make this one ready, as you saw, is I have this folder. There's nothing in these folders. But if you look, it actually added these to them, right? But there's nothing in the folders. But my action can find them. They exist, which means the action can do what it needs to do, so it's not going to bomb on you. But typically, just to be safe, yeah, I set the opacity to 0, so in the event there is anything in there, they're not going to show. So yeah, now my baseball works, my volleyball works, gold works, red works. And that's, again, going to be how I can get it to work across all of his templates with only setting up one action. It's a lot of work to get started, but it's a one-time thing for the most part. Does it ever affect textures or anything that may be placed on the text? Yes. That's where it does kind of get a little bit tricky. If you have textures on your text, because a color overlay doing it this way is So what you can do is instead of putting the texture on the text, you can put the texture on the folder itself. Because a lot of times when you do the textures, you're going to like clip it down. Do I still have my... I don't think I have it open still. I got this one. Nope. You know what? We'll do it in... I'll just create a new one. Okay, so... change this to that. Let's go to that. And my character... that, and then we'll jump this up to 72 so we can see it. And then just like we did before, oh, I didn't want that. I'm going to change this to, say, team name, just because I want it to be more realistic of what we're working with. And then I'm going to do the folder for team name, FLDR, do not change. And I'm going to throw that in there. And I'm going to put the color overlay. Let's do that color for now. Okay. Let me go get a texture. Let's say we're going to do a... I'm just going to go find some generic texture out there right now. So you do this. We'll create clipping mask. They don't actually work with textures much. What do? You change this to like darken, multiply. How do you apply the textures? I don't ever really deal with textures. I'll do overlays like this. But yeah, if you have a textured overlay or something like this and you do the color overlay, it's going to just override everything. Okay. But you can typically move it above the folder. Create your clipping mask. No, that wouldn't work either. There is a way of doing it. I'll figure it out and I'll send it to you. I have done it before. I don't remember how I did it because I don't typically run into that much. It's the same thing when you do instead of color overlays, you do gradient overlays. Right? You can also do gradients at this level too. It's just a little bit different to work with. So the way I do it is not the way it has to be done. There's the few fundamentals that as long as you follow them, they're going to work. So as long as your names are correct, it's not going to matter. You don't have to have them in a folder. You don't have to do it my way. If you have a texture on it and you change the color of your texture, here, let's just get rid of the folder altogether, right? And let's say that for the demo purposes, you have this name right here. It's never going to change, right? And so you want to do a gradient overlay. There is nothing stopping you from being able to do this. And let's say up here, we're going to go, I don't know, red to black. Why not? Let's say that's what you want. And then you're going to create an action. And then you change this color overlay. That is fine. Orbit has texture over the name. Okay, I'll check in a second. But what I was saying is it's completely fine if you do this. What you'll want to do is if you're wanting to achieve that same level of consistency across all your templates, you just need to make sure that this text layer name is the same across all your templates. Okay, because when that action runs, it's not going to look for the folder like I had set up. It's going to look for your actual text layer named this. And as long as there, it'll work just fine. So if you have it set up with a texture on this, which I think you can do textures in here, can't you? Bevel, emboss. Yeah, you got texture right there, like that. Which if you can do that here, you can probably do it in the folder like I was doing as well. Let's do that. We're gonna move one under. I'm gonna create a new folder. Your name, FLDR. Throw that in there. I'm gonna move the effects up to that level. There, you can see right now, this one is set at the folder level. This one is set at the text. Well, this one's set at the folder. This one's set at the text. And you see, you can still put the texture on them, right? You can do it at either. Though I have noticed, which I haven't figured out how yet, they both have the same gradient overlay, but the folder, it doesn't apply the gradient overlay from top to bottom of the text. It actually goes from the top of the canvas to the bottom of the canvas. I got to figure that one out. I talked to Don Ward about it. He couldn't figure it out either. Blend mode is normal. I think instead of doing pass through, you're supposed to do it to normal or something. But anyway, you can still apply textures to it, is what we're getting at in the end. Does ever affect textures or anything that may be placed on the text? How do you normally apply your textures on the text? Do you do it using the built-in Photoshop textures, or do you apply a texture on top of the layer and clip it down? Because that'll be something to take into account as well. Yeah, it just hides it, doesn't do anything because the folder is overwriting everything. All right, has everything made sense so far as creating actions, how to get them to work across multiple templates? What I did here for these inner circles, like the martial arts and basketball and all this, if you have another template that instead of using like this, oh, you clip your textures. If you have another template that instead of using like these masks that he uses, but you do backgrounds, I treat it the same way. If I have a template, let's say back here, something that I can often do is actually, let's just go grab one real quick. Images. I'll call this open. Boom. You know, let's say that I've got this baseball field right here. Okay. And then let's say I'm going to pull up a, yes, I'm just pulling these off of Google for the moment. Give me a decent one. There's not really any decent ones, so let's just grab, I don't know, this one. And so then we got a tennis court right here. So what you can do is I handle it the same way. Whenever I do baseball here, I will actually hide all of these backgrounds and then I'll only show baseball. So I treat it the same way. So my baseball action is going to hide anything that's not baseball and only show baseball at the end. but it's going to be done the exact same way you do with these center ones, right? You have all your images for different sports, you just hide them and then show whatever you want. And then let's say we would turn that net off. And this would be the what I would run I'd run baseball. Although I'd like to use, picture of their field if I can, because I tend to enjoy where they play. Any other questions? Anything you'd like to see? Again, calling them from Pixnub is really easy. You just have your post actions here. Now you can also do pre-actions. I guess I can go over pre-actions. Pre-actions are going to be, I'm just going to close all this. Do I want to close it? Do I want to save it? Kind of did work on it, but I don't really. I can redo it. All right, so I'm going to close all. We're not going to save anything. Let me pull in a. I just need a PNG image. Where am I going to pull a PNG image from? Shoot's working. I think I got it's one of my jobs. Ooh, where are all my jobs? There we go. Extracts. This kid was super cool, so I'll use him. So let's say you want to do just a generic action. Do I actually have one already made? Got some sort of grunge action. All right, so if we look at this kid, his overall complexion and everything, and I run this grunge action, you can see it kind of makes it a little bit more contrasty. Ben's grunge is a pre-action, correct? Yeah, most grunge is going to be like a pre-action. And so, for example, if I wanted to run this as a pre-action, right? This is a super simple one to do. I can actually just show you guys how we did it, if I can remember. Let's say I'm going to do a new action under here. I'll just call it Poor Man's Grunge demo, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to create another layer here. I'm going to change this to, was it filter? I'm going to do the high pass. Okay, change this to overlay. So now you can see, if I'm going to stop recording it right there. You can see already that it's just kind of already made it grungier. Okay. So I change it to overlay. I'm going to continue recording again. And then I like to soften it up a little bit. So let's set it down to 60. So now, let's trash all those. Get rid of this one. I'm going to try it again. Because I didn't, as I was playing with things, it didn't record. It kept recording every little thing, and I don't want all the other stuff in there. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to change this to overlay again. And then I'm going to set it down to, we'll just say 60. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge visible. Oh, that's not what I want. I don't want to merge visible. Is it flatten? What is it? Merge layers. So I'll record this. How thought it was just merge layers. Merge visible, merge layers. There we go. But either way, that's how we do it. So now if I go all the way back to where I started, I can just hit play and it just applies it. So how do you use this with Sports Photo Automation? Over here, you would actually have pre-action. And then again, I don't like to copy anything, or I don't like to hand type anything. So I'll copy my default actions, and then I'll put in Poor Man's Grunge demo. And so what that's going to do is whenever you're running your Sports Photo Automation, it's going to pull in your template. It's going to look at your spa. It's going to pull this image. It's going to load the image up into the other window, and then it's going to look for any pre-actions. Any pre-actions you have are going to apply it to just the PNG. And then when all the pre-actions are done, it's going to import that into your template. That's why it's called a pre-action. So before importing your image into your template, what do you want to do to it? Now, what we did here is, like I called here, a Poor Man's Grunge demo, right? But it doesn't have to be that. You can do color corrections. You can convert it to black and white. You can do, you can change your saturation, your vibrance. You can do whatever you want to it. Whatever you want to do to that PNG before it gets pulled into your template, that is going to be your pre-action. Post actions happen before it's saved off, but after it's replaced all your text and done everything, then it's going to run your post actions and then save it off. Anything else? Any other questions out there? Ray, you got anything you think they would like to see? Yeah, I know Shirk's got some nice actions out there. Do I have it in here? Intensify by Shirk. It's actually a pretty good one. But it doesn't work on this one. I don't know why. I have used this one before. It does work pretty well. Current document, 16 bits per pixel. Oh, okay. No, that's fine. Jen or Kylie, do you guys have anything you want to see? Anybody else who's sitting out there? You guys have any questions? Did I not answer anything? Or is it just too overwhelming that you're going to have to go back and watch this a few times? I did get this to work before. There we go. This one's working. This one a 50%. So you can see before and after, right? That's the 50% version. And then I think the 10% version, does that work here too? No, for some reason 10% is not working. The 50% works. Pretty sure the 100% works. That makes it super grungy. Boom. Look at that. I actually really like those the Intensify 10. I'm gonna have to re-import it. I'll probably mess something up on it. But I really like the Intensify 10. But the 50 works really well too. And so what you can do is you would call this via Pixnub. Be careful running grunge if you see a lot of skin on the legs. Oh yeah. I rarely run grunge, but I know that there is some photographers out there who like that gritty contrastier look, so they'll often run it. Which it's not, let's see, do I have anybody? Let's see what it does with her. It doesn't, well, it does kind of add more, you can see more like deep, not detail, almost looks like wrinkles if you do it that way. I could see that. Is there an easy way to apply a color code for a new team color, or just duplicate and update the color in the duplicated action? If you want to do it the easiest way that way. No, if, okay. Again, remember there was a few different ways that I kind of showed that you can change your text. If you do the smart object version, right? So if I got a new here, and then I create my text, and then I'll create another one. So to do an action using your primary colors that I was kind of mentioning earlier, right? So we're going to create this. I'm going to set this to red. I'm going to drop it down here, call this primary color. And then what I want to do is I want to convert this to a smart object. Where's the option? That's a frame. Convert to smart object here. So now I can copy, I can show, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip it, right? I'm going to make another copy, bring it up here, and I'm going to clip it. So now if I do an action here, we'll go ahead and create a new set called demo, right? And then I'm going to call this purple, even though I can't spell purple. It's recording right now, so I can just double click on this, click on purple, save and close, and stop. So now that's all I need to do the purple. So let's say I add more text layers. Call this team name. And then let's say we also have an organization or a league name. Okay. It doesn't matter how many of these I have. As long as I'm making copies of the, what I called the parent earlier, right? If I change this to a different color, it's going to change everything. Because all of these up here, these copies are referencing this primary color. So if I wanted to change this right here, right? If I want to change purple, yeah, I can duplicate it and I'll just say blue. I can double click that, double click this, double click that, double click. The fill layer doesn't work part. All right, so I can come here I can hit record and then changes to, what did I say, blue? So now I can click on purple, changes everything to purple. I can click on blue, changes everything to blue. But instead of going through like I did before and having to do each individual one, you can do it this way and just change the primary color or the secondary color. So that would be what you could call a very easy way to apply, not necessarily a color code for a new team color, but you only have to change it in one spot and it'll apply it to everything. Now the downside to doing it like this is you run into more issues. No, that could still work too. I used to do it this way for a while. And it can work. Obviously it does work. You can see it right here. Does that answer or show you another way of doing it, Mike? Summarize the color changing, you need to go in and set the action and then rinse and repeat for your templates. Yeah, pretty much. Every template so I run template sets. Okay, so you have it, and that's fine because now look, if I want to, let's say I want to do a secondary colors, right? Let's say my team name is going to be a primary color. Oop. Move this up here. But I want my league name to be a secondary color, right? So let's just go ahead and change this to 60, make it nice and big. Then we got our league name right here. That's going to be a secondary. Then we got the name down here. We're going to make it fairly big as well. We'll do 36. And then instead of test, we're going to call this position. Okay, we'll leave it nice and small. So let's say league name and position, we want a secondary color. Well, we're going to so we have position right here, we don't need. So there's position. We can delete that. All right, and I'm going to move position way down here. And then what was the other one? League name. Okay, so league name is going to be a secondary color. So we're going to move this down here just so I can keep them separate. So now we have primary color, secondary. So now we need to create a secondary color. So let's say we're going to do red as a secondary color. So let's go ahead and just select the red. And I'm going to just, again, create my just giant square. I do it as a giant square because it makes it super easy. But I'm going to call this secondary color. Okay. And then I'm going to convert this to a smart object. And now, same thing. I'm just going to make a copy, bring it up above my position. I'm going to create my clipping mask and turn it on. So now I'm going to do the same thing here to my league name. I'm going to create clipping mask and turn it on. So now I don't have to update all of these. I just have to update these two. Now what that means is you will need two different actions here. So instead of purple and blue, we might name this one primary purple, right? And we'll say primary blue. So now what I need is, let's say I need a secondary now, right? So same thing. I'm going to click off of my secondary because I don't want to start there. Create a new one. We'll call this secondary red. No, we're on red now. So we're going to do secondary blue. And now it's recording. I'm going to click on secondary. I'm going to open it, change my color to some sort of blue. I'll save it on the close. Now I'm going to stop. Okay, so I'm going to click off of it again. I'm going to do another one. Let's say secondary red. Now it's recording again. Click on secondary. Come here. Change it to red. Close, save, stop recording. So now I can change my primary to purple and my secondary to blue, and it's going to be able to do it that way. So you can still get your primary and secondaries, but what you want to do, and kind of what I did over here in Modern Classic, is I kind of set up my colors with every color I could think I could possibly need. And then from there, you can just mix and match. So I could have a purple background with pink letters or green letters or gold letters, doesn't matter. You would do the same thing in these down here. Have all your different primary colors and all your different secondary colors. Then, again, we're going to update this if you wanted to do it that way. So we have demo. So my post actions, demo, and then I'd want to call, say we're going to do blue and red, right? So primary is blue. Then we have demo. And then secondary red. And that's going to give you your colors that you're looking for that particular team. Even though the Tigers are not blue and red. There we go. Now we're good. Rangers. So there's a lot of different ways to do what you're looking to do. The key is to find what works for you and ensure that your actions, or get everything done before you start your actions. Because as soon as you make a layer name change, you're going to break your actions. And I've been in, I've had this much work go into an action suite. And then when Damon pushed out that it actually is an amazing update for the resizing, it broke all of my actions. So I had to go through and redo them. But as soon as you have to rename something, then you're going to run into an action issue. So ensure that you guys have your templates pretty much ready to go before you start your color changing. And never, if you're doing it not this way, okay, but if you're doing your color changes at the text layer level, don't ever record an action where you highlight it like this and change it up here. Awesome. Hopefully that works out for you, Mike. I know there have been a few others who have gotten a lot of benefits out of this. So, any other questions out there from anybody still hanging in there watching? Whether you're doing color changes for your text, if you're doing color changes for your backgrounds, if you're hiding images for like ball fields or tennis courts or track fields or anything like that, it's all going to operate the same. Get everything set up. If you're showing and hiding images, before I start the action, I want to show everything. I want to hide everything and then finish the action only showing what you want. That's going to save you later on if you, let's say you modify the template and you accidentally saved it with that higher layer on. When you run your action, right? If you have like the higher layer and the lower layer, then you show that lower layer, it's still going to have the higher layer because you didn't actually hide it. So that's why no matter what, I hide everything first and only show what I want, because that's going to prevent headaches later on. I missed earlier, but you have the sports colors. How do we do that? It's just an action. It's an action with no steps under it. Um, so like if I go to down here, right, I'll do a new action. I'm gonna call it primary colors, right? And I just hit stop. It's just an action with no colors. That's all it is. And I move it up. And then secondary colors. I just don't even. Oh, why is it up there? I didn't mean to do that. Down here. I just hard code a separator in there. So now you can drag and drop these anywhere you want. So that lets me pretty much like I have for Modern Classic right here. I have my sports, I have my colors, I have my background colors, and I have my presets. So again, help stay organized a little bit and stay consistent. And that'll help you speed up your workflows. And we're all about trying to speed up workflows. All right. Well, it is 1:31 and it is lunchtime. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me directly. You're more than welcome. Anybody who's worked with me before knows that I'm always willing to help. Yeah, just reach out and try different things, figure out what works for you. This video, I've noticed that after 30 days, they're starting to delete the videos off of the events. However, I am downloading them and uploading them to my YouTube. So you can definitely go rewatch everything there after 30 days. So you guys have a great one, and I will catch you guys around. Hopefully see you guys next week. Have a good one.